A lot has been happening in the world of sports, and that's the reason why we've brought it right here on the couch, because when you're watching your favorite sports fans and of course your favorite athletes, you're always seated by the couch if you're not by the stadium. Sometimes we do a little bit of coaching, so I figured let me join the influencer today. Let's switch it up a little bit. I go by the name of Clauiee Grace Mpanza, Mahlatse Mphahlele. You are right next to me, like literally looking you head on. This is strange for me, but it feels great, of course, to be on the Arena Sports Show.
What happened to your chair?
Hey, we decided to change it up a little bit, you know?
Okay.
Now and again, you must spice things up, you know?
Change is good.
Exactly. You can't be doing the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. Good weekend of sports.
Yeah.
I was at Loftus on Sunday for the coronation. 8 titles in a row.
What do you think of our 20 million rand trophy?
Look, it's different. I know people have been talking about it a lot. It's not bad. It's different, and I think maybe once in a while something different goes a long way. I heard the coach saying it's heavy when he was carrying it. They brought it to the press conference so that we can have a closer look at it. It has caused quite a stir on the social streets.
You know what my favorite post was? It was from Grant Kikana saying that, listen, our Hubley trophy looks great, but at least it's 20 million. Something along the lines. I'm misquoting him here, but I was just like, I love how he's in touch with what's happening in social media, playing around with it as well.
He's the best.
Oh, Grant is fantastic.
So I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, it's the trophy, So, but it's not like it's bad. Also, it's not what we were expecting. It's somewhere in the middle.
You know what I was hoping for? I love the design. Personally, I think the design is great. The only thing I would have changed is the size. The size of the trophy.
Make it a bit bigger.
Yes, make it a bit bigger.
It's
small. I know we normally say size doesn't matter, but on the trophy, I think it really should matter a little bit. But anyway, on that note, a lot has been
let's
happening.
stick to football.
A lot has been happening in the world of sport. So let's quickly find out what's in your top stories.
Described by its creator Nelson Makamo as a love letter to football, the new Betway Premiership trophy has been met with mixed reaction, with some fans likening it to a hubbly-bubbly smoking device. Kaizer Chiefs coach Nasreddine Nabi has dismissed speculation he will no longer be with the club at the end of the season. In recognition of Amachida's outstanding performance by winning the Under-20 AFCON in Egypt, Honor will be rewarding each player and team member with the newly launched Honor 400 Lite smartphone.
Interesting top stories there, especially the first one. But keeping it moving, star of the week. Always my favorite segment of the show. Influencer, who's impressed you?
No, this one is easy. Under-20 boys. As we speak now, they are arriving at the airport. I think they've done very well.
They have.
We didn't give them much of a chance. There was also a lot of stories before they left about the preparation and all those things. But they've done very well. I mean, if you consider they didn't have Mbokazi from Pirates, they didn't have Nelson Tlongwana from Chiefs, they didn't have Mabena from Sundowns, they didn't have Chandra Campbell from Belgium, and then to go all the way in the tournament is something that is very, very significant. And I hope, obviously, when they go to the World Cup, those players will be available, probably all of them, especially with Mabena maybe having recovered from an injury. He will be a good addition to strengthen the team. And I'm happy, I'm proud. 20 years later, since Matthew Booth and his team also qualified for the World Cup, so it's good. It's more like a full circle kind of situation.
For sure.
I'm quite happy with what the boys have done, and so for that, my star of the week for the boys, under-20s. I hope their teams give them opportunity to play for next season.
So now that's my follow-up question with that, is that, a lot of times we talk about players disappearing within the system, but one thing that this is proving is that there is talent in the country. Now it's a matter of maturing and nurturing this talent and making sure that they play in the big clubs. I mean, this season we've seen Orlando Pirates, giving young players a chance, and in terms of a big club, where you're seeing youngsters actually pulling a club. So now for these youngsters, I mean, the likes of Awo, Obokikana, where to now from now?
Yeah, it's important for them to come back, obviously, and go back to their clubs. Unfortunately, the season is finished now. I guess they'll take a break with their clubs and come back to pre-season. And hopefully we'll see more and more of them getting opportunity for the first teams. I mean, the guys from Stellenbosch and well, unfortunately, Cape Town City has been relegated now. Cape Town Spurs, in the end of the day, has been relegated. They'll be playing in the amateur leagues. That is a bit of a problem for the coach, but I feel the best players from that team will be snapped up maybe by NFD teams or even PSL teams.
Yeah.
So it's going to be important that they get opportunities to play. Because when you get to the World Cup, you will need players who have been competitive,
For sure.
playing competitive football for their clubs, so that, you know, when they go there with confidence. The match fitness is at the right place, the conditioning is at the right place,
Yeah.
and that kind of situation. But yeah, it's very, very important for them to play, because if you remember that team that we spoke about of Matthew Booth, most of the players there were not become big superstars. Matthew Booth, Stephen Fredericks, Daniel Matsau, and all of those guys. They were also regulars for their teams at that time. So it's important that the coaches continue to show faith in these youngsters. Some of them already now are playing for their team, so it must continue. Yeah.
It definitely must, and it's quite unfortunate because influencer will never ask me who my star of the week is, but I will tell you nonetheless, because I'd like to think that you care just a little bit.
Already with the show now. Oh, my bad.
Your mannerisms, sir. My star of the week has to be Mamelodi Sundowns. I think what they've done is absolutely impeccable, and you know, a lot of people go on to say that they spend so much money and they're only concerned about the league, and that's the thing. For me, that's not the case. They're not only concerned about the league. They literally want to be the best in the continent. When you talk to the players, that's the same conversation. And you look into the decisions that are made. You bring in a Jaden Adams in January, you're showing intention. You're showing that things need to be changed. 7 games, you see something is not working, you change it. So I think making the right decisions at the right time from management to the players, it's been absolutely fantastic to witness, just the manner of professionalism that they bring as well to the league, where now it shows that everybody just needs to pull on the weight and bring on the challenge to them. So it's really, truly been great.
Maybe let me flip the script a little bit. Let me ask you a question to say, who's your player of the season?
My
you
player
haven't
of
said
the
anything about this thing.
Influencer. So you know what my thing is, right? And I was saying this to a friend of mine, and it makes it so difficult in terms of consistency. That's what you want to see in every other player. You want them to be consistent throughout the season. So now you go to Orlando Pirates, and they had a fantastic start, and it's just the ending. It didn't end well. And then there was the period, I think around December, Jan, where now some players were disappearing, and you couldn't see that consistent form that you saw at the beginning of the season. So it's difficult to choose a player from Pirates to say then they are the player of the season, in my opinion. But then if you then have to choose someone, you have to go to Mamelodi Sundowns. And I mean, you go to the fact that who won the league? And I know this is always a debate. Who won the league? He's also the top goal scorer right now. And in terms of impact, that's the other thing. As much as you, because I'm not too big on stats. You know how I feel about stats.
They're like at the beginning.
Don't reveal much. But impact.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen from, of course, Lucas Ribeiro. So he's been absolutely great. And you also add the fact that you're seeing now he's being played differently under Coach Cardoso, because now Silas must also play there. But he's also being influential in that position. So for me, he's been great. So I would have loved to say Rile, but Rile will be amongst the contention. I think one would be Lucas.
So who's your player of the season?
Between 1 and 2, I think I've already said it, right?
Lucas Ribeiro.
Okay. He's been fantastic. So, and I mean in a season when you're just coming. But anyway, cool. You let us know who's your player of the season, and that's a nice thing, right, about football, is that it will always be an opinion thing. So who has impressed you? Who has made your football heart dance up and down and think, oh my goodness, this was great? All right. So we talk about Mamelodi Sundowns influencer, and I guess we might as well then talk about the fact of I want to talk about the depth of Mamelodi Sundowns. And I talk depth not in terms of playing, but the importance of it at a training session. And the reason why I'm asking you this is because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and really trying to picture how a training session would be at Mamelodi Sundowns. and at Orlando Pirates. And we use Orlando Pirates because that's 1 and 2 currently, right? Because if you take out Cash right now, Makaula, who's been outstanding for Orlando Pirates, who replaces him? Who will come in and carry and do the job? You take out Rile, who's going to continue and do the job? You take out Nkota, who's going to do the same thing? Now that's the question of depth. So now what we're trying to figure out is the depth, the importance of it, a training session where you want to show up and you want to impress the coach to say, choose me for this game. You're not just choosing me for the derby, but you're going to choose me against Magesi as well.
Yeah, depth is very important. I mean, as you say, they say iron sharpen iron at training, you know. Players must really test each other at training and keep each other on their toes. You will always have a situation where in the club where you know, they are stars of the team, players who are, you know, almost guaranteed to play every game. You look at Sundowns or Ronwen when he's fit, he will play. Debza when he's fit, he will play. Alende, he will play when he's fit. And maybe to a less extent the strikers, Peter or Ikram Reyners, those are the guys that are guaranteed to play. But they need to be pushed a little bit of training.
Yes.
So that they know that if they are not up in their game, then the other guy who's there, he's coming. And also to be pushed at training so that by almost the similar type of quality. And also the guys who are on the bench, you know that you are almost replacing like for like if you make a change. If the game is tough and the other guy is injured or is feeling tired or is cramping or something, if you replace, you put somebody, it must be almost life for life in terms of quality. So it's very, very important. In particular with Sundowns, you must also remember, Sundowns are really now a proper Champions League knockout stages team. They try and get out of the group all the time. They're there. I think for the last while now, they've always made it out of the group. So when you are at that level, really, you get tested differently because of most of the teams in North Africa. They're very, very strong. You really need to have a good depth. You need to have players who understand the territory of traveling and all those kinds of things. And most important,
it's the school fees now that you talk
you
about.
must pay the school fees.
You have to pay it,
yeah. Now, I mean, over the last while, I think guys like Jaden now, they've also paid the school fees. They played a bit of Champions League football. Next season, they'll go back again. They'll be much better. They'll be much used to the situation, obviously. With Jaden also, the experience of the national team with Bafana. He was at AFCON. He's a Bafana player. Those kinds of things. But also the other key thing is the coach, because sometimes team dynamics can be very, very tricky if you don't have a strong coach and a strong personality, because players always want to play. The Neo Mayamas, the Mkulises, the other players, they are not going to be happy because they are not playing. So you must be able to manage that situation very well, because also when you've got big egos, guys who feel that they should be playing and are not playing, that's a problem. But if you really want to be competitive, you want to be consistent, you really need to have depth. And you look at the teams that are supposed to be chasing Sundowns in the form of Pirates and in the form of Chiefs, Stellenbosch, maybe Sekhukhune and them. They just don't have the same kind of depth that Sundowns has. And I mean, I just feel probably even next season they'll be struggling, because if you check now, Sundowns will strengthen this team again during the off-season. They'll become stronger. Which is a challenge for the other teams that are out there. Now it brings us into the issue of, it's been discussed over the last while, of financial fair play and all those kinds of things. It's quite a hot topic as to, do we introduce in South Africa? What do we do? With what I've seen with Sundowns, really, even if you can introduce financial fair play, the issue is that I think they've got a very, very strong setup there. Where the people behind the scenes do a lot of work. They scout players, they check what's happening. Those are the things that maybe a little bit put them ahead of the other guys. Besides just money, you can have money, you can buy all the players, but you still have to really make sure that they work together. And that's one thing maybe, or an element of the discussion people miss when they talk about this financial fair play. You can have all the money. Sundowns have had money for a very long time, but they've not always been dominant. I mean, there were times when Muzipa was the president of the club, he was pumping money in the club, the team was not winning much. So it's about how you set up structures at the club. It's about how you get the right people for the right positions. You get the right players to be able to be competitive. But For the other clubs to be able to compete, I think you need to be smart in the transfer market also. Look very closely, and I will say it again, scout on the continent, because most of our teams don't scout on the continent. There's a lot of players there who can come to South Africa on a cheap, in a way. You can sharpen them here, and if you're lucky, you've got a good players, you can send them to Europe and they can make a lot of money. So depth is very important, yeah.
And I think just to add on that, I mean, you touch on the identity part, but I think also players willing to be versatile. And I say this because if you have to watch Denis Onyango this season, I mean, we know him playing from the back was not always his greatest strength, but he improved. You saw the improvements this season. I remember Aubrey Modiva, when he joined Mamelodi Sundowns as well, he didn't immediately hit the ground running. I remember we talk about it, and he was like, yo, I'm not used to not even being on the traveling team, but now I have to fight my way into the squad. So that mentality to say you've got to fight for your position, it helps, one. And also you being versatile amongst your teammates. Because if you see, okay, sharp, this is how we play and this is how we need to try and work around and assist the team, because you see the identity of the team and this is where I'm going to play. Whereas other teams, what identity? What must I work on, my guy? So I think that becomes the difficult thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll use Sundowns quite a lot because of the success they've had. I mean, you know, coming throughout the years, they've always had this usual and piano thing. This season they've played a bit differently. I think it's because of the disruption of the new coach coming through.
Yeah, they started with helicopter football.
yeah. The Sundowns fans used to call it how train.
Oh yeah.
just running and. But I just feel that they will be different next season. This coach, he will go back to the off season. He will assess. You know, he will really have to understand that Sundowns play football differently.
Yeah.
It comes back to the issue of the style. They are a ball-playing team, and they've got ball players. They've got players who can really play. You speak about playing from the back. It's something which they've mastered now. I mean, I was in awe of Lord Mvala.
Oh, Lord Mvala, guys. Yeah.
At the weekend, he came back and it didn't look like a player who has not played the whole season.
Yeah.
That's how they played. I mean, if you've got Mvala, you've got Grant, you've got Ronwen, you know, they do their thing. On the right, you've got Celia. On the left, whoever they use on the left. You know, from the midfield, Debza, Allende, Ribeiro, Sales, and you know, it's a team that has got a lot of depth. I mean, that has got a lot of quality, and they like playing football that way. You can see they are playing a little bit differently to how they played when the coach first arrived. And is that type of football? I always don't think that is the type of football to play in the continent, because it's different there. So again, is the issue of the adaptation, is the issue of the players knowing that you are playing in two different competitions. If you play in the PSL, where most of the teams maybe gives you a little bit of space to be able to do your stuff, that's different. But if you go to the continent where it's a bit harder and, you know, the teams don't tend to give you enough space to play, you play differently, you know. So those are the dynamics that I play, where, you know, experienced players and experienced coaches need to work around. And, you know, I mean, even here in Sundowns, I remember when Sundowns were going to East London.
Yeah.
The coach was actually a bit concerned that they're going to be playing at a small pitch, because a small pitch does not really limit you. Even Coach Peter, I remember, used to hate Betway's vest because it's too.
And I love the stadium.
Yeah. You know, but I mean, he wanted more where they can be able to play because of the players that he had. He had Mushishi, he had Serino, he had Temba. You know, those guys wants to play. You know.
An influencer, I mean, when you talk about Sundowns, it would be a sin not to talk about Mshishi as well.
Yes.
I mean, spent most of the season injured, unfortunately. But talk to us about really the impact that he's had, or the lack of impact due to his injury, and what next season looks like for Temba Zwane. Yeah,
the funny thing about Temba is that even though he has been so key for them for the last, 5-6 years, he got injured with a long injury, he suffered at Bafana. They didn't miss him that much.
Sure.
Largely because of Ribeiro and Jaden Adams. We are going back to a depth story again now.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
We're going back to the depth story again now that It goes a long way when you have players that can replace, or if you go to the market, you go to Stellenbosch, and then you sign up a quality like Jaden Adams. At some stage, Jaden Adams was the guy who has played the most consecutive matches for the Sundowns, even though the coach was rotating. Obviously, Allende plays all the matches for whatever reason. But also Jaden, I think Jaden was second because he came to the club and he just sort of seamlessly went into the starting lineup, and he sort of took charge of that creative number 10 role, if you will. But now she's back, and he's been integrated back into the team slowly. Whether he will be the same as he was before, that's for us to wait and see. But there is no doubt.
I think class is permanent.
Class is permanent, definitely.
When it comes to Shikabala.
I mean, I saw him at the weekend where he came on, and you just at some stage felt sorry for Magesi because it was like they were looking at it with a torch, he was in combination play, and he was in control, and scanning and doing all those kind of things that he does. They just look so good on the eye, and it was a perfect way of playing that kind of a football on the day that we have been crowned as a champion.
All right, quickly. Chipezeze, he's a goalkeeper that you've been talking about this season. And I mean, I remember him now because you mentioned Magesi. And it's been hush-hush, but he's had a fairly good season.
Yeah, he's had a fairly good season. I guess for the goalkeeper of the season, definitely you look at him. You look at Ronza, and then you look at Sipochen at Pirates.
Who takes it for you there?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult. Also, if you look at China, I think China is considered.
Fine. Must we pause this one for next week? Okay, I'll give you time. You think about
it's a bit tight. Let me go scrutinize the numbers properly.
And then you'll come back and give us the information.
I'll come back next week when he.
All right, looking forward to that one. Let's quickly then head over to Ronwen Williams. I had a sit down with him, and I mean, just talking about Mamelodi Sundowns as a club, and of course some of the senior players and their influence in the club.
All right, Ronwen Williams, Zanzi's finest, joins us now. Ronza, first question. I was at the game against Stellenbosch, and one thing that I found interesting was how you guys were cheering on the other players while they were even warming up, the likes of Jody February. Talk to us about that relationship.
Yeah, it's just the brotherhood and the team spirit that we have. Just to see everyone getting opportunity, because it's been a long season. Obviously, some players play more than others, and Jody is such a positive and a good guy, a jolly guy, and he doesn't play so many games, but he's always happy, cracking jokes. And when Denis went down, we all just got excited for him. And when he went on, we all were screaming for him, and it was just a good moment for him as well. He's played a few games this season, had a few clean sheets, so that's amazing for him.
Denis Onyango, 40 years old now. Talk to us about him as a keeper and really the relationship that you guys seem to have. You seem quite close.
We're close. I mean, I've always looked up to Denis, and luckily for me, I trained with Denis when I was 15, 16 years old at SuperSport United, and he's remained the same guy. Funny, always there to help out, give advice. And he's just a wonderful person to have in your corner. He's so humble. He's achieved so much, yet he's always looking at what's next to achieve. And that's what I try and copy and steal from him.
Are you planning to go to 40?
That's the plan. That's the plan. I hope so. Hopefully my body can carry me. My body has been through the most over the last few years, but it's just to manage myself and just enjoy football. Once you don't enjoy it, then it doesn't become fun. True. And then you are stealing maybe someone else's opportunity. So I want to go as long as I can, and for as long as I love it, I'll always give my all.
Let's talk about that enjoying, Ronza. Your game against China, you pulled an insane pass, and I'm just like, I mean, we know you as an extra player now for Mamelodi Sundowns. That's who you are. You're not just a goalkeeper. Talk to us about your game, how it's evolved, and you being that extra player for your team.
Yeah, that's the pressures at Mamelodi Sundowns and the style and football that we want to play. It's 11 players, and we're all involved in all phases of the game. So I'm as important as the strikers in our press because I need to be high. They are important in our build up when we're playing, So it's amazing, the level that I'm playing at now and what they got out of me. I always known that I'm comfortable with the ball at my feet, but because of maybe different styles of coaches before my previous club, people didn't get to see that side of me. But I was always a very good distributor of the ball. But yeah, I think I've taken it to the next level.
No, you have.
And
You're insane.
yeah, and it's just about being confident, and it helps. I don't do it for myself. I do it for my team, because if I can take 5-6 players out with one pass, and then we're attacking less players. So yeah, it's amazing, and I see a lot of goalkeepers doing it now as well. So it's amazing.
How is a game when you don't get any shots on target? Because we watch them and think, oh, Ronza hasn't been tested. How do you deal with those games?
No, those are the tough ones, because you need to stay mentally in the game. When the game looks easy and like nothing is coming your way, that's when mistakes creep in. So I've over the years I've developed the ability just to stay in the moment, stay in the game.
Yeah.
Because anything can happen at any time. So I just remain focused until the final whistle goes.
All right, we mentioned the one elder in Denis Onyango. The other elder in the team is Timbazwane, who has been consistent throughout his career. Talk to us about what he brings to the club, I mean, on and off the field.
Amazing person, amazing captain, amazing player, probably one of the best that I've played with. And he's so humble. Once again, he's achieved so much, but he's so humble and always willing to help and give chances to the youngsters and give advice. And there's probably one thing that people don't know about him, Shishi. He's the first one with Peter Shalulile at training every day. I think I've been at the club now 3 years, and every day for the past 3 years, and probably for as long as he's been here, he's the first one in doing extra, first one in the gym, last one to leave. And that is why he's been so successful, and he's just someone who has aura, who has presence. He does not demand it. That's just how he is, because of the type of person he is.
And then when you guys are praising him, he seems shy on social media when you watch
No,
the
he is.
videos.
No, he is shy, very shy. He does not, like I said, he doesn't like all the attention must be about him. He just wants to do his job and go home, and but we cherish him. We want to celebrate him, because the type of person he is, he deserves his flowers.
Do you think we celebrate him enough as a country?
I think over the last year or so, people are starting to appreciate him.
Yeah.
I think before, not so much, but now I think they see what he's done, not only for Mamelodi Sundowns, but for the national team as well. And at his age, I mean, he's one of the key reasons why we've done extremely well over the last 2-3 years at the national team. When the coach does the team talk, he gives us all instructions except Mshishi.
Sure.
He just tells him, go and play, do what you know. No one can tell Mshishi how to play.
Yeah.
He knows what to do, where to be, the spaces to be in, and coach like Coach Hugo to see that in him speaks volumes.
Definitely does. And the other thing that speaks volumes, especially at the Bafana camp, is how you also rally behind the youngsters. I mean, when Vila got his debut, part of it, people say, no, give him a chance. Talk to us about the youngsters that you've seen in the country.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of them coming through now, and just to see the consistency, the hunger, and that you can see they're hungry, they want success, and most of them they've achieved achieved success, but they still want more, and that's what I love, at that age. And I'm very, like, I pick up a lot of things, body language, like attitude, those things. So I watch them when we're in camp, and he's just an amazing human being. He just wants to play football. He's just happy. And when I asked the coach to give him his opportunity, I wasn't doing it for myself. He fully deserved it, because of the season he had with his team and just how he was in camp. Just someone who's happy to be there and to play and to represent the country. And yeah, it's just amazing to see that he's growing in such a short space of time. He's growing and growing, and he must keep, if he stays on that trajectory, he can achieve amazing things.
100%. And then now, when you look into your schedule, from Champions League, you're going to the FIFA Club World Cup. What are your expectations of the FIFA Club World Cup, and what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, we want to go out there and give our best, show that we deserve to be there. We want to obviously play our brand of football. It's a very unique brand that not many teams and countries have. So we want to stick to our identity, because that's what we know. And I think for us to be there is amazing, but we are so demanding of ourselves that we will, once we get there, we will probably think that we can go all the way. And that's just the mentality that we have as a team, is to just dream big, and one day we'll get there.
You definitely will. And one thing that they always say, right, is that when you look good, you do good. And then I think that can be said with you and Adidas. Talk to us about, that partnership and really how you're always kitted looking great also in the field of play and of course off the pitch.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing to be part of the Adi family. I mean, it's over a decade now.
Sure.
So yeah, they've taken good care of me, no complaints. I mean, the best tools, the best equipment, a lot of clean sheets in the wonderful gloves, few assists, with the special boots. So yeah, Mr. Bob, the relationship we've, had over past decade has been amazing. He supports me with all my initiatives. I'm always there, when he needs me. So we've got a very good relationship, and just to be part of this brand is amazing. Asimang Limang, top, top, top.
And then lastly, what boot are you wearing at the FIFA Club World Cup? Have you seen it, and what do you think of it?
Yeah, amazing. The copper, of course, wonderful. It resonates because it's a boot that, Beckham wore. I can remember a few years ago, the white and gold. Oh, and I always wanted to get my hands on it. And now I'm going to be wearing it at the Club World Cup. So amazing, goosebump moments, and I can't wait to get my feet inside of that boot.
You were about to say hands.
No, and hands inside the gloves. The gloves are special as well. Yeah, white and gold, amazing. Top.
All right, and then lastly, Ronza, we've spoken about, in terms of your teammates, but I think the fans have also been special this season, showing up a bit more. Talk to us about that resurgence of South African fans now wanting to come to the stadium over again.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the football is nothing without the fans. And we saw that when we played during COVID times.
Yes.
You didn't enjoy it. So the fans are important, and it's good to see that the stadiums are slowly filling up.
Yeah.
They must continue coming out in numbers, support your team through thick and thin, through good and bad moments, because eventually, things will turn out good for you. So, just be a loyal supporter and support your team, because we need you.
Yeah.
Things won't always, be good, but you need that support, and they've been amazing. When the last year when we played for Bafana as well, 5 sold out stadiums.
Yeah.
That's been amazing, and just to see a country get behind the team, it's amazing. Long, long, long may that continue.
Long may it continue. Thank you, Ronza.
Thank you.
from one goalkeeper, we move on to now the most decorated footballer, goalkeeper in our league, Denis Onyango. Let's find out what he has to say, as he still has aspirations of continuing to play.
For me, it's all about showing the youngsters that it's possible regardless of your age. If you believe that you can do it and you go to the right club and play with the right people and stay focused on the goal, because the goal is to win and to play football as much as you can. Probably I'm on 2% left. I've exhausted the 98%. But it's for the young ones to know that you need to work hard to get where you want to be. It's not talent alone is not enough. And I'm not the most talented goalkeeper, but when we work at training, me and Ronwen will give the same. It doesn't matter how old I am, I must give the same. And if I can't give the same, then I must retire. So for the young ones, it's a sign that you must work hard to earn your position in the team, and it's not given. You must fight for it. So the boys back home need to keep fighting. It's a pity that we only have goalkeepers from Uganda who are playing in South Africa, but it shows that the goalkeepers have that resilience and they fight on. There's Watenga, there's Salim, there's one who was at also Venda Academy, but they fight. So it's about fighting. You can't just let go.
Absolutely great to see. I mean, he speaks about hard work, and I guess that's true both for Ronwen Williams and Denis Onyango and any player at Mamelodi Sundowns. Hard work goes a long way. Talk to us about, I mean, how they push each other and how they, you know, they've done so well for Sundowns, and they just continue breaking records after records.
Yeah, it's important, you know. One of the good things is that you see how Denis actually pushes Ronza.
Yeah.
You can, you know, sometimes if you are players and you are fighting for the same position, the relationship can be a bit tricky to navigate. But you can see that Denis has accepted that he's the second choice. Whenever Ronza is fit, you know, he's going to play. I think if you clarify that kind of situation before the season starts, it becomes easier. And even the guy who's the second choice, he knows that you know, he's backup, and he will have to support the first choice goalkeeper, because the first choice goalkeeper becomes better at training because he's been pushed by the other guys who are not playing. So,
and also the addition of Kennedy Mwini.
Yes,
that's
as the goalkeeper coach, they know each other very well. He actually touched on him at training that you know, he made a very, very seamless transition from being a player to a coach. So that whole setup that they have there is very good. I mean, it's Ronza, it's Kennedy, it's Riyad, it's Jody, and that kid from DDC, Sanele. So it's a close-knit team. And I don't think that Sundowns will really be in a rush to go look for another goalkeeper, because as Denis is saying, he still wants to continue. Still have got one more season in him. I'm not sure about the contract situation. They'll probably extend if they've not done that already. You can see they've already extended with Shika. Shika will be there for one more season. It'll also be nice to see Shika really go into the Club World Cup and also to go to AFCON. I think it will be a nice thing to see Shika maybe
dancing there,
dancing in Egypt, and also obviously now winding down what has been a fantastic career with a major tournament. I think they can still play for one more season. Beyond that, I don't know, because of what is coming under is quite very, very strong. You know, if you are a midfielder, you have got Jaden, you have got Miami, you have got Mkulis, you have got all these guys who are waiting in the wings to play. So it will be very, very difficult for Shika to consistently nail down a playing position at club. But we must never ever make a mistake of sort of undermining his influence, of undermining the player that he was. We need to celebrate him while he's still here, so that the day he leaves, we are left with good memories. He has been really, really good for a servant of football for the country.
And that's one thing that you have to really take your hat off to Masandawana. I mean, after the game, they will sing the song to Tembazwane. Tembazwane will always run to them and sing it together. So it's always great to see someone being given their flowers while they can still smile them. On that note, I mean, he was, of course, new into the season, and he says that it's quite normal for people not to be sure about what you're going to bring to their club and to the league. So let's find out what Miguel Cardoso has to say after he's clinched his title with Mamelodi Sundowns.
Exactly, not breaking suddenly with the past maybe was the key. One thing they understood immediately, that I knew them very well. I knew the players very well. I knew the club very well. I knew the football they played very well. And also I knew very well where I want to go. But also I knew that I could not break something, and because I would put the players too discomfortable. One thing is not letting them be comfortable by the challenges we put them. Another thing is create on them something in terms of idea to play that is so discomfortable that creates doubts. I also was very lucky because we started winning. And winning in the beginning is the input, the energy you need to make people believe. And we won, as you remember here, a very important match against Raja. Then we went in Stellenbosch. We won in Stellenbosch. And I think after 2 weeks, we were all believing that we would have capacity to do a good job together. The past is past. Doesn't exist. What exists is only the present. Even the future, it is up to us to write it. So we should never, no one should relate with the past. We should never forget the past because it's where we come from. And also knowing the past of the club was probably one of the biggest advantages I had because I knew the past and I respected the past. I never broke the past. I spoke with big respect about what the job that was done here because I know how difficult it is to write one of these so simple lines, what it means in hours of work from everybody. So I had not to break nothing with the past, just respect. So I knew where the guys were coming from. And the respect that I showed also from the past probably opened their minds and their hearts for myself. Because I had nothing to break with the past, just respect and accept it. Even today, it's not important to speak about the details, but I praise exactly the past in front of all the players. And it's that respect that I also show by their work in the past, and the past was a couple of months ago, some weeks before, 1 year before I was here, that also made them understand, oh, this guy respects us, he knows what we did. But it's not because of what you did that you cannot continue to do. It's possible to continue to do. And the challenge will be ahead of us for next year regarding the championship. It's possible to win it again. Of course it is. I worked in a club, as you know, Shakhtar Donetsk, where Michel Lusheshko, he won 11 championships. 11. And he just stopped it because of the war. Because the war impacted a lot the football in Ukraine at that time, and Dynamo Kiev won a championship. Because Donetsk was the beginning of the war in Ukraine, and all the club had to move. So in that year, the championship was lost. And it was the moment when Lusheshko left the club. But he won 11. And I was there, I watched some of them. So it's possible to win. I was witnessing first person about a coach that won 11 championships. A coach, no, a club. He won the last one, most of them. It's possible. It's possible.
Well, the last time any other club besides Mamelodi Sundowns won the league was Bidvest 2017 with Gavin Hunt. I still remember that season so well. So for Mamelodi Sundowns to have done it 8 times since then, truly a beauty to see. Now when you move over to CAF Champions League influence, I mean, we spoke about the school fees and it was quite interesting. I had a conversation with Ronwen Williams and he was alluding to the fact that, you know, they've always been there. They've always been knocking. You get knocked out here, it hurts, you feel the pain, but you go back again next season. And now here they are at a final against Pyramids. And I mean, they just played over of course, over the weekend. And now they've got this week, of course, to rest. But a big week is ahead of them. What are you expecting from Sundowns? And really any changes that you anticipate, knowing very well, of course, the striking attack that that Pyramids has.
Yeah, you are right. The Champions League is it's a very, very difficult tournament.
Yeah.
It's a tournament that the club needs to really fall in love with. It's a tournament that the supporters really need to fall in love with. You see, with the Sundowns supporters, the tickets were sold out a long time ago. And
I think this is their first sellout, ne? I'm
no,
joking.
they were the players for us.
I'm joking.
You can see that the Sundowns fans have got a big appetite and a big appreciation for the Champions League.
100%.
It's very, very important because, especially in the final, you need to make sure that Pyramids get here and they feel that they are playing away from home.
Yeah.
They've suffered serious heartbreaks over the last 2 years. Semi-final exits is painful, but they say it's even more painful to losing it in the final when you are there.
For sure.
You know, it's not going to be an easy thing. That Pyramids team is quite a useful side. If you check at the span of the team, they've got a few West Africans who make them strong, who creates a very, very good balance.
Yeah.
But Sundowns, one thing that we must also highlight for them is that they've got a week to prepare now. If it was during the season, they'll be playing today and then on Tuesday, and then going to play again on at the weekend. It goes a long way because the coach has been saying that we don't have enough time on a training field, and you know, to the other day he said they only train for 2 hours leading up to a football match. That's very, very significant for them. I think they will have enough time to prepare. The Sundowns team also in the Champions League is pretty much settled. I don't think there'll be too many changes.
Yeah.
You know, Ronwen will definitely start. Modiba, Saila. There in the middle. The problem will be central defense. I think Grant will definitely start. I don't know with who.
Who do you prefer him with? Do you prefer him with Musa or do you prefer him with Lord Mphahlele himself?
It will be a big ask to start Mphahlele in a major final when he has just played one match. He will go with Musa, I think.
Okay.
Musa is a guy who, when you call him, when there's a problem, he will deliver for you.
Do you think he's underrated? I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. He says underrated players at Sundowns, Obri Modiba and Musa Lukusa.
He's definitely underrated. Obviously, he has made 1 or 2 big mistakes, but
Yeah.
he's a guy who you can go to war with. Over the last few matches, especially with the Suarez situation, he has come on. He has played very well.
And he's left-footed. That's the other thing
Yes,
we need to.
he gives you the
yeah.
right balance because Grant is right-footed, he's left-footed, he's tall. So you'll have 2 tall guys there, him and Grant. You'll have Sailor on the right and Aubrey on the left if they decide to put Aubrey or whatever they want to do. But generally, Sundowns use Aubrey more for an inverted fullback. So that will probably be his defense. I think Divine is still injured or something. I don't know what's happening with him. So that will probably be how the defense looks. In the midfield, I mean, you know, the usual stuff. Ribeiro, Allende, Tebza. Maybe with Jaden. And then up front, I don't know.
I love how you
Salas,
even flinch a bit.
yeah, Salas has been starting matches. He'll probably start with Ikram Reynas.
Yeah.
The one thing that has pained me a little bit, Sundowns, especially as they were closing the league, was the fact that Peter Shalila is sitting very, very close on breaking the record. You don't play. Why don't you play that man?
But sometimes the goals dry up.
But play the guy, please. He must break the record. Because now there's a rumor that he's leaving. So, I mean, if he has played the last league match for Sundowns, then he means he's not going to break that record, which will be a real pity of the highest goal scorer in South African football. It will really be a shame. I mean, this is a guy who came from what?
Are you fetching him from Highlands or where you
From
fetching
Highlands
him?
Park, and then in 5 years he's got more than 100 goals.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good return. I mean, so that's one thing that I've watched with sort of sadness that maybe they should have given him more minutes to try and break that record. It's not to be, but he will be a key player for them in the final. He's been there before. They're at home. You really need to try and get something at home. Even if it's 2-1, but you have got something at home. Because then if you go and score 1, they'll score 2 there, you have a very, very significant advantage. But Pyramids is not it's not an easy thing. I was speaking to someone who exchanged messages with one particular coach that I don't want to mention. And that coach said at the beginning of the season, after a few matches in the tournament, he said that Pyramids will be the team to watch this season because he had analyzed them and looked at them, the way they play and the players they have. And also it's a team that has been backed by wealthy people in Egypt, so they've got budgets to work around stuff. It makes for a very, very interesting final. After that, they travel. I'm sure these Sundowns players now even know the corners there in Egypt because they go there.
Of course. They even get me the best chocolate when they come back.
So that the fact that they're traveling is not going to be a problem. They've done it. I mean, they've beaten the big teams there. Yeah. So traveling won't be a problem. But the key thing is it will be to try and really win at home and win well at home so that you reduce the pressure when you travel. I think they can do it.
For sure.
There are goals for Sundowns in Pretoria, definitely.
I mean, goals could come absolutely anywhere, and I think that's the beauty about Mamelodi Sundowns right now. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a good challenge in terms of their attacking force. But now, when we quickly look into the Confederation Cup, we've got, of course, our very own as well in Fadlu David with Simba there against RS Berkane. Talk to us about the expectations there.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Fadlu has done, leaving South Africa, his comfort zone, to go try his luck there. He has done very well, but I mean, in this match, I don't see them coming back. I think they'll probably even concede more goals there. That Berkane team is and for some reason, they are just a Confederation Cup team, I would love to see them step up a bit and coming back into the Champions League for a sustained run. Yeah. I think it's a team which will add value in the Champions League. You can imagine if you have them and then you have got Wydad back in the Champions League, you've got Pirates Sundowns. I've always sort of said, man, maybe here in Southern Africa we need at least one good team from Zimbabwe or Zambia to go add value there. You have got East Africa, you always have got Simba. In West Africa, maybe also one with the Champions League for some strange reason. We don't have a strong team from West Africa, not from Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria. So we need one or two teams from that region which will come and add value. There was a time when Nyimba was competing, and I think they won it twice in a row or something like that. Yeah. Because the stronger the Champions League is, the better for national teams of Africa, because then most of the players that are playing for the Champions League, they will go back to national teams. So it must be strong. You don't want to see just Sundowns and the North African teams being the ones that are consistently going to the knockout stages. So we need to get it right in that sense. So the Zimbabweans, the Zambians must come, West Africans, they must come to add value there. I would also love to see Berkane there because I think the people who are running the club are quite serious about continental football. But for this one, I feel sorry for Fadlu. I think
should he come back home quickly?
Berkane will definitely win this thing again.
Should he come back home quickly? Yes or no? Don't over-explain it.
If he comes here, when I fire him here, if he comes here, he must just stay there. If he comes here, he's got to go to Pirates or Chiefs or what, then doesn't do well, get fired. I mean, let him increase his value there.
No.
Increase his value there. He's doing very well. And then, maybe we'll move to a bigger club in North Africa. We'll never know.
All right, we'll never know. We then shift focus and we then look into, of course, the NFD. We do know as well that, of course, the Super Championship, rather, that a lot has been happening. And one thing, influencer, that I find so interesting is that court cases, they're always there. I don't remember a season in my existence, I don't know about in your life, but in my existence, where there's no certain court case, unfielding of players, if players are not being paid, there's always a case going on in that league. Talk to us now in terms of, Durban City, yes, they've won, but not trophy. At least you can't even be happy for a trophy because you don't have it right now.
Yeah, the funny thing about this thing is that actually the player in question, who is claimed to have not been properly registered, they still played him in the last match. That's how confident they are that they'll win in this case. So we'll have to wait and see. Because he has played so many matches for them during this season. If they are found guilty, they'll probably be relegated because if they docked points and they'll be docked a lot of points.
Yeah.
But you are right. I think there's become a too much familiar thing where every season in the NFD and in the amateur ABC and those smaller leagues, there's always drama when the season is about to finish. I mean, in the amateur league in the SAB, how many times have you had people running to the courts before the playoffs happens, when they go to the playoffs of promotion to get to the NFD? So it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It shows that I think that league, as good as it is, and we really need to tighten things to make sure that whenever or as soon as these cases come up, they must be dealt with immediately, because you don't want a situation where a team has won the league but they've not been given a trophy because there's still an outstanding case in the courts and all those kinds of things. So it needs to improve. It's a league that plays a very, very important role for our football. Because once in a while when clubs are not releasing players for those things of Chan and whatever, Kosafa, we go and dip in there and get the players there. And some of the players who have actually been discovered at those clubs, the good ones always come to the top and go to PSL teams, and it's an important league which you really need to take serious.
All right. Now, when you look into the likes of JDR, you also look into Orbit. Previous seasons, we've seen JDR, getting players from the senior clubs in terms of the PSL. This season, we saw Orbit getting players from Pirates, where they've got, of course, loaned players. The importance of getting these players from, the big clubs to go get a chance as well, get some minutes in the NFD and the contribution that they make there. I mean, here is Orbit now in the playoffs.
I mean, just look at Kasrik. They've qualified through Kamit Rasmus.
Yeah.
Scored a beautiful goal in the 9 minutes of that match to help them to qualify for the playoffs. You are right, Orbit, sort of the development team of Orlando Pirates. If they get promoted, they'll have to go to Pirates and say, hey, we're in the PSL now, help us. If you take these players, you are going to kill us, Kasrik, also another team that has really punched above their weight. They've sort of gone about their business very quietly. I feel sad for Black Leopards, just I think 1 point difference that they kicked them out of the playoffs. They started very poorly, but they've improved as the season went along. Black Leopards is they're the legends of that NFDs.
Of course.
They've always been there, So I guess now Kasrik and Orbit are waiting for the team that's going to finish 15th in the PSL. It can be SuperSport, it can be Cape Town City, it can even be Magezi, Richards Bay, and all those other things. Because it's very interesting there at the bottom in the PSL to see which team is going to drop. So it's going to be very interesting. Playoffs are always very tricky. The team that gets dropped to go play in the playoffs, you need to play playoffs. You need to play NFD football.
Of course,
these days of passing there and sugar don't work there. There is straight stuff there. The coaches always say that in NFD, you hoof it, you play second balls, you play high balls, you go to the wing, put it inside the box, and then you score.
Oh,
if you are going to do these things, it's never going to work. So that's how NFD football is played. But it's always interesting to see how it turns out. Because more often than not, the team that gets dropped from the PSL is the one that always comes back. It's been on one of few occasions where a team that finishes second or third in NFD is the one that gets promoted.
So I'm looking forward to then our league wrap up next week, where now at least we know, how the league has shaped up, exactly how it's going. So we're going to do that next week. But quickly, to just wrap this up, Cape Town Spurs. I mean, man, what a strange couple of seasons I've had. I mean, from top flight football to then being relegated, and then now it just keeps on going lower and lower and lower. They're just not getting it right.
Yeah, when you talk about Cape Town Spurs, I mean, I remember Steven Pinar.
For sure.
I remember Turane Serrero. I remember... I remember there was a guy they got from Cameroon, Young. He went to Ajax Amsterdam, a top central defender or central midfielder. I remember a lot of players who came through that system. There was a time when Cape Town Spurs, Ajax Cape Town, as they were called then, qualified to play in the Wizard Charity Spectacular because of the popularity, and just the brand was an exciting brand.
They were.
They came here and they just mesmerized everyone. They
I
won
mean,
trophies.
if you're looking for like a more younger players, the likes of Manyama came through from Ajax, your Kamabilians were playing. It was great.
It was a top team. I mean, there was a time when you supported Sundowns and Pyramids, but you also supported them. You only support your team when they are playing against your team. So it was just an exciting brand. I spoke to Shus Mekuto the other day, who used to work there back in the day, and he was just gutted that the club in its original form is no longer there. Obviously now they are known as Cape Town Spurs, but now they've been relegated, another institution of South African football. So you don't have Vets, Beatvers Vets, or Vets as is known.
Sure.
You don't have you don't have Morocco Swallows. Now you are not going to have them. You don't have Celtic. It's just a really sad thing that is happening to our football now. Very soon, if the rumors are correct, we will probably not have SuperSport United anymore.
You're giving me chest pains when you talk about SuperSport.
It's very sad. Yeah. SuperSport, I mean, this is a team that not so long ago won the league 3 times in a row. Yeah. So
I'm hoping it's not true. Like, like my fingers crossed on that
or
one,
even if maybe the people who buy it, they just keep the name then,
Yes.
and then continue with the history of the club. So yeah, it's very sad that Cape Town Spurs are down. They are going to the jungle there now. Obviously, we don't have proof of anything. It's just stories that we hear from people. That the level there, the referee there, everything is just bad. If you think any of this is bad, go. You will know that if things are bad when you go to amateur football. And most teams that have dropped to that stage takes a very long time to come back. Players are going to go. And also, I don't know how much money the owners of the club will be able to pump into an amateur football club. They are going to cut costs, and it's going to be very difficult to attract talent.
Yeah.
Most of the kids from that region will prefer to go to Stellenbosch now. So it will be very difficult to attract players and that kind of thing. And also, out of sight, out of mind, people will slowly forget about the club. And, I mean, I remember Santos, Santos just kept on getting relegated. The club is still there, but it has been very difficult from the Ghulam Ali family to revive the club and bring it back.
I mean, you look at Jomo Cosmos
Look at Jomo Cosmos, Platinum Star, Silver Star. So there's been a lot of teams that have dropped for a number of reasons. Highlands Park, and so Mpumalanga ACC, a lot of clubs. It's just really a pity that they find themselves in this situation.
Yeah.
I hope for their sake they will come back, but it's going to be very difficult because by Hlathini manje.
Anati once said, so we're wishing them.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
We're wishing them all the best, and that's how we wrap it up. Hey, our couch edition of the Arena Sports Show.
So we're coming back next week with the wrap of the season. Eh?
Yes, we are, and we will have.
Can I challenge you?
Okay, let me write it down so I remember.
You have players of the season. Obviously, you have got the player of the season, goalkeeper of the season, midfielder of the season,
goalkeeper. Everything.
Yeah, I guess top goal scorer works himself out. Coach.
Done. Oh, the coach is done as well.
And maybe you're the best moment of the season, the moment that stays out for you for the season.
All right. So, do you also want to indulge in this one? Perhaps you can join this challenge. Let me know.
I will.
And not you.
Oh.
You. Let us know who has impressed you.
I just don't know you're gonna have. I just don't know you're gonna have time because I'm told you're going overseas.
It's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Arena Sports Show. From us, cheers. Goodbye.
Ciao.